Hello, beautiful, heart-led, soul-led entrepreneurs. I mean, I don't even know if I like the word entrepreneur. So you started this journey to help people because you're really passionate about it. You've been helping people since you were like a little kid and you found yourself on the path of entrepreneurship. And then you go online and you go to like loads of masterclasses, you speak to loads of different people and they say, follow this strategy, do this thing. And then it gets so overwhelming and you are somebody that has been a real worker, real hustler, real good girl. So you do all of the things they tell you to do and work like a crazy woman. And then if you're anything like me, that starts to make you feel very sick because you're just like giving and giving and giving and trying all these things, some things that feel really like icky as well. And then eventually that takes its toll on your body. Just as I'm telling you that story, I can feel like my voice just getting a bit faster, just remembering what that period of my life was like. And you're doing so much that you're almost like, you don't even know what it means anymore. Like, you're like, okay, I've got to create this content to sell this thing. And actually, the reason why you did it all, which was from your heart, seems really far away because now you're just exhausted and you're just having to earn money to be able to support yourself because you're full time. And it can get really complicated because we're listening to so many different people. And actually, when I look back, so I've been doing this nearly 5 years now, and I created six figures in my business. I had those five-figure months, and I was so busy and so exhausted and so not in my body that I couldn't actually even see like what was working and what wasn't. Like I couldn't see what the pattern was, as in like, oh, that time I made money really easily. Like what was it in that moment compared to, oh, I was working loads here, creating so much content, batch creating and things over here, and that didn't really bring us good results in. It took burnout and it took what used to work, like stopped working. And I think many people are having this at the moment where, you know, they're either getting burnt out or sick, or like they're just feeling like they're doing and doing and doing a lot. And their, business doesn't feel as good as it used to. And it doesn't maybe get the results that you would really like. Or, like I was, you get the results and you're making the money, but it doesn't feel good because you're exhausted and you feel sick. And I want to talk about when I really finally stopped and started to look at like the data of like what is working and what isn't. I realized that whenever I had the idea, like the idea wasn't a coach or a mentor or something I saw on the internet, it was actually me just meditating and hearing a little whisper. Like I remember when I decided to do my podcast, my mentor at the time was like, oh, well, you could just do a season of the podcast or something like that. Like, you know, and I remember even saying YouTube, like doing stuff like this. And I think she sort of was like, oh, that's like a lot of work. And I don't know, she just gave her opinion. And because I wasn't comfortable being my own leader, having worked in like the corporate world, I didn't really just listen to my own intuition. I did sometimes. So I started my podcast and I would like blog for people like Tiny Buddha. And those things did so well for my business, like pretty much immediately, compared to me posting online all of the time. Like that didn't do as much. Like me creating for the sake of creating. Like that wasn't really doing it. But when I had an idea like so big in my heart and I was like, oh my God, I need to talk about this. I need to share it. That would create some results. And it would take less energy. It would be more enjoyable. It would be less exhausting. And I would get better results. Like writing a blog for a place that people told me not to write for made me like five figures. Tell you how many times as well. Like I've had a little idea when I've just been resting and taking care of myself. And the little idea will be like, oh, those clients, they all need this. Maybe I'll just create this course for them. And in those instances, I have made multiple five figures in a day, right? Because I am well rested, I'm really nourished, I'm not rushing around like a crazy person, and those ideas can really come through. But when you're doing all the things that other people are telling you to do, and you're even maybe a little bit obsessed with like, oh, this mindset strategy and this thing, and you're kind of like just busy with all of it, you miss the guidance. And your soul, literally, if you are doing your heart's work, you are literally made for it. Your story, your upbringing, your jobs, everything was not an accident. You are literally meant to be here right now. You are literally reincarnated at this time when the world needs you to do whatever it is that your magic is so that you can help to rebalance this planet because it's in a bad way, right? Like it's been far too much in that masculine energy of like doing and etc. Which is why so many of us that are called to do that work are basically being called to stop doing it in the hyper masculine way and to learn to start following our hearts and following our souls. And it's funny because I was really feeling like I wanted to do a video before I went to make my lunch. And one of my clients sent me a message about this exact thing. And I was like, oh, I need to talk about this. And she was sharing how, like she always wanted her business to give her freedom. And that's what she wanted. She wanted to help people, but she wanted to be free. Like she's got very young children. But she was told that, oh, just do one-to-one work and you can't do passive income work yet. And my client, she comes from a career of marketing. So she knows, like, one of the things that she says to me all the time is I could market a brown paper bag. So she knows all of that and she has all of that history. But yet, when she's on a call with somebody that's selling her their strategy or what they do, she thinks that they know better than her. And many of my clients, they've had experiences of trauma, so they just don't really trust themselves. And many of them are empathic and intuitive, but those feelings when they were little were so big that when they tried to say to an adult, this is bad, this is wrong, they got dismissed. They learned to stop listening to their absolute superpower that is like going to make you so much money when you listen, when you follow the weird nudges that, like right now, as I'm recording this video, not a lot of people are watching my YouTube videos. I'm devastated. I really am. No, I'm just joking. But I really feel like I really want to share them. I really feel like I just recorded one prior to this talking about like narcissism and why they're so much more successful and talking about like business in a different way, in a really spiritual way, in a healing way and that actually we have so much power. And when we get lost in other people's ways of working, we can't find our own. And honestly, like business is really not that complicated because it's like you make offers, you sell them, and that's pretty much you help people, right? But the thing is, when we lose our essence and when we are so exhausted that we are in survival, we can't feel that light and that inspiration and that creativity. And that is what's going to lead us to, the big shifts within our work. When I was burnt out and exhausted and trying to sell a program, I didn't notice that that program was no longer aligned with me. I changed too much and that actually I didn't enjoy working with those type of clients anymore. Like I totally didn't see that. But yeah, I was trying to scale it because I was desperate to have this regular income. Like I was desperate for it. Like I was just like, I just want to feel safe because I felt so deeply unsafe in my business and I was trying to get my business to make me feel safe. But it wasn't my business or money or anything. It was a feeling of unsafety that had been in my system for my entire life because of my childhood. So learning how to feel safe, regardless of what my business was doing, was such an empowering thing for me. Because if I could feel safe in whatever chaos was going on in that, this offer isn't working or this one it is, when I could do that, then I basically had this new program come through, which I'm absolutely obsessed with, and it will be coming out again in July. And it's about creating money, doing our soul's work. It's about creating legacy work. And we're not going to get legacy work out of following someone's beat of their drum. Really random story, but I'm going to tell you anyway. The one or two people that are going to listen to this now, I'm just joking. One day there will be many, many more. But I watched the other day the Bob Dylan film, which he's a great big music artist that's been around for like, I don't know, 70 years. It's called The Complete Unknown, I think. My dad was a really big Bob Dylan fan. And Bob, his name was actually Robert, but he would play songs and he became really successful doing like folk music. And when he first came out, people didn't, it wasn't a thing for him to be a singer-songwriter. And people made him sing songs because that's what everybody does. So he did it for a moment, and because he probably really needed money at this point. And then he was like, it doesn't really feel good to me. I want to sing my own songs. So they, the record labels didn't want to, they were a bit resistant, but then eventually they let him sing his own songs, which became incredibly successful. And he made a lot of people a lot of money. And then the thing of his heart was moving him into a different direction. It was moving him into like electric guitars. And he basically got so much hate from switching from like folk music to electric guitar. And even some of his mentors were like, "What are you doing? Like, you shouldn't be doing this." And he started to create his own type of music where he talked about political things, which is, I think he used to do as part of his folk music days, but just bringing like a whole different thing to his music. And he has done so many different types of albums that, people are like, well, you're this genre. At this time that I'm recording this, Beyonce just won a country music um, Grammy, and that's not her industry. So these people are creatives. The things that they're doing when they follow their heart, when they follow their expansion, they don't make sense. People are like, you're not going to make money from this. It doesn't make any sense. What are you doing? But you just follow it and you help yourself to feel safe through the experience, right? Like Bob Dylan, I'm sure, didn't have money as he was trying these different things, but he helped himself to feel safe so he could be creative, so he could do the thing that he was meant for. And his songs would just wake him up in the night. And to be honest, like I get woken up in the night as well, like with weird things to teach. I get woken up in the night about like different ways I could share something or some way something that could help me that I then go on to teach others. And I really believe that your soul and your heart just absolutely knows what you're supposed to do. And your job as a steward of that is to take such good care of yourself so that you're not in this survival pattern. You're not burnt out, you're not overworking, you're not like taking, listening to everybody else. You're having stillness, you're having connection to yourself because it's in those moments that you will catch the little things that you need to do. Like last week, I didn't do so much work at my desk or anything, but I had a lot of ideas of things that I really wanted to share. And this is a part of that. I wish that I'd found a video like this when I started my journey of like being an entrepreneur and being like, you know what, I actually made multiple five figures from one blog. You know what, I actually created a whole business just following my heart, but I told myself a story that it was all the other stuff that was making me the money. And it actually really wasn't. When I was really aligned with myself and my heart and my soul, my content was different. The way I was talking about things was different. The way I stepped into my thought leadership, I was more of my higher self as I was creating rather than my wounded self. So like having like a routine that really takes care of you and nourishes you. Like as soon as I finish recording this, I'm going to go and make myself like a really great lunch. And in the old days, I wouldn't ever stop working because there was just so much to do. I need to send these emails and I need to do this. When a lot of those things I was doing didn't actually really create me results. And actually, it was the beat of my heart. Like I thought, I really want to create these videos for you guys on YouTube. I really want to share my different perspectives about business and money and how we can manifest all of these wonderful things in our lives, how we are the co-creator of that by doing our soul's work. And it doesn't make any sense, right? Like it just doesn't make any sense. So when I had this idea to start my business and be like, okay, I want to teach people, and I actually had it in like 2012 and I didn't actually do it until like years later. But like because everyone around me was like, what are you doing? if you follow your heart, you're not going to have any money. You're not going to be able to pay your bills. Like, we're not really encouraged to be creative. We're not really encouraged to follow our intuition. We don't feel like it's safe. So that's why when we go down this path, especially when we've got past trauma, it can feel really unsafe and it can feel really scary, which is why every single day you need to really take care of your spiritual body, your mind body, your emotional body, your nervous system. You need to take care of all of these things because your body has no data of like, how is this going to bring us how is this going to keep us surviving? Like, how is it going to do that? It's just like, what? We don't have any information. Your ancestors didn't do that. You haven't seen this happening in real life. Like, what are you doing? And I read this great quote in a book by Rebecca Campbell, who I love, where she said, for those of us that are leading, we're paving a path that has never been walked before. And it's really scary. Like when I was paving this path, I didn't know anyone that had just written a course and sold it. I started to meet people like that, yeah. But when I had the idea, when like we recorded the podcast, I didn't know anyone that had a podcast. But like it was like, oh, I really want to talk about things like PTSD and complex PTSD and trauma, and I just really want to share my stories. I don't know what it's going to do. I had no idea it was going to create money. Had no idea it was going to be my job, but I just really need to do it. And like even today, like I just want to talk to you about how powerful you are and how those little whispers of your soul are what will get you to the destination that you're looking for. But also when you're taking really great care of yourself, you're regulating your nervous system, you're taking care of your inner child, you're speaking to them and taking care of them, because I know that sounds weird, but old stuff from childhood comes up all of the time. When you're doing that, you get to enjoy the journey. I like joke that I'm like, oh, well, is it going to be one viewer today or two viewers? But like, I just love recording these and I just love talking about entrepreneurship, trauma, manifestation, empaths, sensitive people, and how those things all work together so that you can create the impact that you're meant to in the world and also create really great material change in your life. Like if I was doing this video and I hadn't created money through my soul's work, you may not listen to me because we live in a world which is, values materialism. The fact that I'm really happy and that I'm like feeling the safest I've ever felt in my entire life because my business has helped me to heal myself at deeper layers that I never would have done if I was still working in the corporate world. And yes, would that be a little bit easier? Yeah, it would, but I wouldn't have the level of peace that I have now because of what I've experienced. To me, that is so much more valuable than any five-figure month because I was a kid of trauma and that just was not an experience for me. But because I get to like create my own life, have my own boundaries, work my own hours, have this space to really heal parts of me that I've been able to give myself something that I longed for as a child. So it's not just material possessions that you create through this. It's much, much deeper than that. But we live in this world where we do need material things to be able to survive it. And you can get that through this. And I mean, it's been quite a wild journey for me because all the old ways that I used to follow things off other people just weren't working. And I was so disconnected to my soul. And actually, that's probably what wasn't working. I was so disconnected from my own intuition. Business sort of kind of dried up. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills. I don't know. Like, I live with my husband. We have a mortgage that I need to contribute to. And I just didn't really know how that was going to work. But each month I would just follow the guidance. And it was a bit weaker before because I was so exhausted and burnt out. But the minute that my vitality started to come back, I could feel the inspiration, the little trickles come through. And it was a bit of a detox period of like working like a nutcase because I was doing that to feel safe. I was doing to feel safe. And that's not the energy of like attracting people. Like the vibration of that is survival. Whereas when you are in your flow and you're like, oh my God, I feel so good, you're at a higher frequency and that gives you completely different results. So that all happens when you follow your soul. And your emotions, they create your reality. So if you are in a state of fear or anxiety, or like, oh my God, there's not enough, and you're really stuck in like that kind of ego world, then you're going to see that everywhere. And then you're going to emit that energy everywhere. And then that is the result that you're going to get. Whereas if you master your emotions, so I mentioned this in a video I did recently, vibrational emotional chart, you'll see that like fear, anxiety is at the bottom, it's a contraction. But to be in expansion, you need to be in more frequencies like love and peace and joy. Now, your business will bring up all of your stuff. So, whatever was going on for you as a kid is going to get brought up. It's a massive mirror. But if you master your emotions, and I find inner child work for this really helpful, then that can calm that down, and then your intuition can still come through, which is really, really helpful. When we master our emotions, we change the way we perceive the world. We also have different thoughts. We're not in that contracted part of our mind. We're in a more expansive state of mind, and we have better ideas. And we're more creative and more, we get that winning song kind of vibe, because we're in that space. So mastering our emotions is so important. Like I said, inner child work, really, really good for that, because a younger part of you is generally quite triggered. Nervous system work is great because it helps the body to feel safe. The body has no data of like what you're doing and if it's going to work. So it can get itself into a real funk. Whereas if you use nervous system tools and somatic practices like EFT tapping, breath work, self-touch, that can calm down the charge of your body. And then you will have thoughts like, oh, this isn't going to work because of this and blah, blah, blah. But when you witness your thoughts, you can see actually, this is just a limiting belief, and that's not even real. So I'm not going to listen to that. And actually, these are the beliefs I'm now going to have. So that's another thing you want to bring in. And then we've got your spiritual connection. So when you meditate, whatever, when you're in nature, whatever connects you to this higher power, this higher frequency that knows absolutely everything, when you have a connection with that, it can kind of go, do this, talk about this, like create this. And, I think one of the worst things I've done with that is question it. Because I'm like, is this me? Or is this my wounded self? Is this my ego? Like, which is it? And I think sometimes it's like you like just feeling into it and noticing when it is and when it isn't, and noticing what your body feels like and building that relationship with it. That really helps you to build your soul blueprint and for you to build your steps as you lead. We so need you at this time. The world is a mess, but people like you can really change it using your stories of what you've been through to help others. It's a really, really great time. And this following your soul is what is the key ingredient. Nobody's path on entrepreneurship is the same because of this particular element. Basically, everyone is selling you the thing that worked for them. But I really believe that the greatest mentors I've had have helped me find what my way is, rather than telling me to do it their way. Like that's so much more helpful. And this month in May, I am offering one-to-one 60-minute sessions for £222 to help people with this. So I'm calling it like your healing money plan. So we'll have a chat about everything that's going on in your like heart-led business right now. And then I'll tell you what your healing plan is to be able to really shift the energy and frequency within your business and to be more aligned with your soul. And I don't normally do one-to-one sessions like that, but that is available. I have a free class below as well, which is Raise Your Vibration, just a class, and the community is open till the end of May, which is completely free. And it's all about your frequency, these different bodies, spiritual, emotional, and like how we master those. And yeah, this is the work, because when you do this, you're in the flow, you're changing at an energetic level, which creates better results. And it's so much more enjoyable. You have to fight with your mind and your ego, but that's part of your evolution and that's part of your expansion. So enjoy those resources, and I will see you in the next video.